Folks, I can't believe it, but we got new cards to talk about. This hero card, I don't even have all the details on this one just yet, but Galakrond's Awakening coming out January 21st. 35 new cards in this adventure, a few of which already revealed for this video. Let's jump into some new reviews.
Hey, buddy, watch this.
So yeah, here is the new hero card, the amazing Reno. 10 mana for mage, make all minions disappear as the battle cry. So they don't trigger death rattles, it just removes them essentially. They don't go anywhere like Psychic Scream. Now, we don't have the hero power just yet for Amazing Reno. I'll check right before I post the video. Maybe we'll edit one in, but clearly that's a pretty amazing battle cry, even for 10 mana. Gives you time to play it, and if the hero power is at all good, I can imagine this being a really, really good hero card. That said, let's go ahead and move on, since we don't have the full details on Reno just yet, to Chaos Gazer, a new Warlock minion. This one's a 3-mana 4/3 demon with a battle cry that reads Corrupt, a playable card in your opponent's hand. They have 1 turn to play it. So this is a really cool idea where you kind of force your opponent's hand. Now, note a few things. This is a playable card. Presumably that means a card that they would have enough mana to play on the following turn. So if you play this on turn 3, for instance, it's not going to hit like a 10 mana card in your opponent's hand because they couldn't play the 10 mana card. It would hit something that's 3 or less mana. But that could still have some neat implications, like forcing their Zephrys into play, for instance, when they don't really want to play Zephrys just yet. Maybe they're saving that for later. Or some combo card where it's like, oh, maybe there's a 2 mana combo piece that's really important to their damage or whatever it might be, and they're forced to use it on 2 because otherwise you corrupt it. And that's actually kind of an advantage in a lot of ways because you can somewhat control which cards are more likely to be targeted. If you know they have like a 5 mana card you really want to hit, you drop Chaos Gazer on turn 5, it increases the odds of hitting that 5 mana card. Maybe they have to hold some 3 and 4 drops in hand. In the meantime, they ruin their curve and their tempo because they're making sure they have enough stuff in hand to reduce the odds that you corrupt the really important 5 drop. So there are some really neat back and forth strategy implications for Chaos Gazer, and some real payoffs as well in disrupting your opponent's game plan and stopping them from doing certain kinds of things. Now, that said, there are, certain kinds of decks and archetypes that this succeeds in more than others, so it's not necessarily guaranteed that a card like this would see play, but in something like a hand lock or a control lock deck that has a little bit more time to be disruptive, why not play something like Chaos Gazer? Also, just as a neat little demon synergy card, it's got decent stats for a 3-drop, right? It's pretty aggressively minded, so there could even be some variations of like Demon Zoos or something in the future that also makes sense for this card. So I do see a couple playable angles for this one. Probably not a home run, but nonetheless a solid card. Moving on here to the Shot Bot for Paladin. This is a 2-mana 2/2 mech with Reborn. So in a lot of ways, you can kind of think about this card almost like a shielded mini-bot returning. It's a mech that basically goes 2 for 1 in the early game. The Divine Shield kind of serves like the Reborn here, where the minion gets to attack a second time after taking a trade. And we know Shielded Minibot in its era was a very, very powerful early game minion. And I think Shotbot has very similar potential, perhaps even higher because of various synergies. This could go in things like a Quest Paladin deck. That could always make a comeback in a future meta. Shotbot would really increase the consistency of completing the Reborn quest on time. This also, of course, has mech synergies that are even better utilized now than Shielded Minibot had in the past, thanks to cards like Magnetic. So there's a brief window here while mini Magnetic cards from Boomsday Project are still in the meta for Shotbot to be another more consistent way to get that sort of package rolling, and Mech Paladin's already good in both Standard and Wild. So absolutely, this looks like a good generalized 2-drop. It looks like it has some synergies to play into as well. This guy looks like a very, very strong card. And then finally here we have Dark Prophecy for Priest, a 3-mana spell that discovers you a 2-cost minion, and then you summon that minion and give it +3 health. So some interesting implications of the discover here means that you're more likely to get something that you care about. Even just getting like a 2/3 is nice, because suddenly that means, okay, I'm getting a 2/6 minion for 3 mana. That's really not too bad. That's a buff stat, and Priest, of course, has a lot of ways to utilize high health in things like combo Priest decks with those sorts of Divine Spirit and Inner Fire kinds of plays. So guaranteeing that you're more likely to get a high health minion alignment, as opposed to if it were a random 2-drop, you'd often get stuff with lower health totals or, no upsides. And occasionally you can hit cards like Injured Tolvir, for instance, which is insane because you don't activate its negative battle cry, and then you get a 9 health minion on board, which is just absolutely bonkers, obviously, for a priest in a combo priest build. So I do think this makes the most amount of sense in combo priest. It's going to be harder to find a home in other decks. Some decks you just don't care about a high health 2-drop in the mid game. Like, who cares? It doesn't do anything for your game plan. It's not particularly defensive or aggressive necessarily. Although it could be an aggro card too. If you get, a 3-drop and you give it a 3-attack minion like a Bloodfin Raptor and you give it +3 health, that's a 3/5 for 3 mana, which I guess that's a possibility, but still seems a little iffy. So definitely some possibilities for this card in that combo priest kind of environment, but I think it will be fairly specific and fairly niche in its applications. So, high upside, just low likelihood of success in a lot of ways. And that makes this, sort of an okay card in my mind. Chaos Gazer is a 3-star card. Shotbot is a 4-star card. Dark Prophecy is a 2-star card. And there you go, folks. I still don't have Reno's hero power. If I get it, frankly, I'll probably make a dedicated video just to talk about that card specifically, give you a final star rating. I mean, I can tell you it looks pretty good already from the battle cry. It almost doesn't matter what the hero power is in some cases because it's probably going to be better than the base mage hero power, which to me means this looks like a at least pseudo playable card. In something like a Highlander mage, it would be almost perfect, for instance, to give you another late game removal tool in a universal fashion. So keep an eye out on this one. And of course, as always, thanks for stopping by to watch these reviews. It's cool that we're going to get some more reviews here mid-expansion. A lot of cards to talk about upcoming soon, and we'll get more details on Galakrond's Awakening. We know it's 4 wings coming out over 4 different weeks starting on January 21st, so action's coming pretty darn soon. That said, share your thoughts on these cards in the comments below. But until then, thanks as always for watching, and until next time, game on.